We are Steven and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. Steven Jill here.
hello.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Steven Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, broadcasting from sunny southern Arizona.
Today, Jill and I talk about cloudy title drama.
What the heck? All right. This, like yesterday's topic, came from our staff.
From our customer service staff.
Actually, yeah. And because this comes up a lot. And I'm like, I want to say, to quote you, Jack, everyone. There's things to get worked up about and things not to get worked up about. And this is not a thing to get worked up about. And a lot of people do. So that's the whole point here. It's like, oh my gosh, how do I uncover this? It's like, it manifests into this big problem, and it doesn't have to be that big of a problem. So we're going to talk a minute about the drama. Are you a drama person? Because that could be part of the problem there, number one. But we'll tackle that.
Oh, that was right in my whole talk today.
What are there dramas in your life?
It's the cloud on the title is not really the problem.
That's not the problem. Exactly. It's the problem right now, but it's not the problem. Number two, we're going to talk to you about, okay, what's really important here? And then number three, I have solutions for you.
Before we get into it, let's take a quick. I was going to start down the path of defining a chain of title, but we'll do it in a minute.
Okay.
Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free, and additionally, if you're a member, join us on Discord as a Land Academy member.
For a lot of more exciting chat. All right, Dave wrote, 2 times now I've downloaded a bunch of what was supposed to be vacant land data from DataTree, only to find out that 25 to 35% of the records are actually the owner's residence and are not in fact vacant. What the heck am I doing wrong? This is super frustrating. Anyone else having this problem, or better yet, know what I need to do to avoid this?
Sure, I'm happy to help. 25 to 35% of a data download that you end up not using the data is not that bad. You know, if you download 10,000 records and you end up using 8 or 7,500 of them, you're going to scrub that stuff out because, and there's, that I know of, no way to really avoid it. In this case specifically, if you're getting data records that are residences with vertical construction on it, it's happening because, and this is all in education. So, Dave, I hope you're a member. I'm not sure if you are. But if you go through all the education, Land Academy 1.0 and 2.0, it's all in there about how to do this. And again, that's what Discord's for. So, and I think I actually pulled this question off of Discord. Anyway, there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 ways to make sure you don't get property that have vertical structures on it. And that's through, you know, every single property should have 2 types of assessments, so that the assessor can tell the treasurer how much taxes, real estate taxes, to charge every year. The land value and the vertical value, or the improvement value is what it's called. If the improvement value is 0, then you know it's a piece of land. The problem is that there's no universal way to book data from assessor to assessor, like you can imagine. And an assessor in Arkansas that hasn't yet computerized their operation, and it's 2021, versus an assessor in, let's say, Silicon Valley, where computers were actually created. There's going to be a pretty substantial difference between how they contribute that data. So the answer is to be redundant. There's vertical assessment percentages that need to be 0. There's vertical or improvement assessed values that need to be 0. And in some strange cases, this is totally solvable, Dave. In some weird cases, you can even say, I want 0 bedrooms. And that will trigger it to never get a structure. Or you can do all these things. But what you got to do to avoid this in any case is download a small data set. And you can see data before you actually pay for it to get downloaded. Here's what you don't, and here's the great news. You don't stress about data. Data's cheap. It's incredibly inexpensive. What's really expensive is letting it get to your mailer, and now you're paying postage on it.
I was going to say that was my big point too. I have one quick question. You brought this up a couple times. I want to make sure I'm not missing it. Vertical is not going to be in there. You're using that as an example. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I'm
So I don't want Dave, don't go
vertical's-
looking for vertical 0. It's not there. But
sorry.
Improvement is.
Vertical is slang, real estate slang for improvement value.
Thank you. I knew what you meant.
I know. Because Jill and I slang each other.
Hello. Wow. Oh, that's good.
You
I like
that?
that. That was nice. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything more on that right now. There's a lot that I can say, but we're just going to leave it at that. Wow, there's stuff I could really say.
Just say it.
And sometimes it hurts.
If you're doing it right, it does.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I can't believe. Woo. So the good news is that was code. And I know that went over every child's head and
Yep.
probably some grown-ups too.
What's slang?
Mommy and Daddy, do you slang each other? Why does it hurt?
Oh, Jill.
Oh, that's good. Oh yeah. All right. Where were we?
Today's topic, cloudy title drama. This is the meat of the show.
We need that going into this topic.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. I have 3 points. Do you want me to do point by point and you share in? Or I'm going to get my 3 out of the way and then you can...
Let me explain, please, what
Okay.
what the chain of title is, and then you can do your whole thing.
Okay.
Every single property, theoretically, every property that you'll ever deal with has a chain of title. So today,
Like a car.
yeah, it's like every owner of a car.
What?
It's just a record of ownership. It's a fancy word for records of ownership and how it was conveyed. So back in the homesteading times, in the 1700s and 1800s, mostly 1800s, if you've ever heard of the Great Land Grab, that's what this is. The federal government got the bright idea to take all the property that they took over, as controversial as that may be. They came in and said, we own all this. We own the United States now. We're going to allocate some of it to the Bureau of Land Management, some of it to the states, some of it to the municipalities, and the rest is what's called private land. And they sectioned it off into 640-acre properties, which is a 1 square mile. And they said for $10 an acre, and in some cases for $1 an acre, or in some cases, and this is what usually ends up in the movies, you go there and put a fence around it and start working it, you can have it. And in exchange for that, we're going to start charging you taxes every year. And they built the country on that, on property tax revenue. There were no, this is just another it's interesting to me, there was no such thing as payroll taxes until World War II. It's just, and they needed it to fund the war. It was all property taxes. So from the homesteading time.
You're going to get your history lessons out of the way today, as well as learn something about land. Take it away.
So the first
Professor.
person that homesteaded, so Farmer John homesteads 640 acres. He's the first owner. He sections some of it off to his sister-in-law, his brother-in-law. He has 3 daughters and 3 sons. He gives kids all land, and that sends off, fast forward to 2021, whoever owns that property now, in whatever state that it's in, each one of those properties has a history like that. And that's called the chain of title. What happens is when it doesn't get conveyed properly. So you can imagine that back in the day, it was just courthouses would burn down and nobody knew who owned anything. There were obviously no computers. It was just all on paper. So when that happened in last century, in the 20th century, things and events and the way that people conveyed title started to get cloudy, and thus the need for title insurance, because that would insure against courthouses burning down or incorrectly conveying the thing. But then, so that's the philosophical, academic, we got that out of the way. Jill's right. What in reality, what really happens, Jill?
Well, there was a little drama there. Thank you very much. That's not what the show's about, by the way. I'm just teasing you. No, so here's what happens. So sometimes it might have been a quick claim, and then things didn't get recorded, and somebody else inherited it, and they transferred it wrong, and they were paying the taxes, and now it comes to you, and you're trying to buy this property, and you're going back and kind of looking back and making sure it was done correctly, usually because you're going to need title insurance, and you're doing your job, by the way, just kind of making sure that you're talking to the right guy, they really own it, looking back. And maybe somebody wants to build on it. Maybe you're thinking about as an investor, I'm thinking about what my buyer is going to do with it. And I want to make sure, like, oh, this is a dreamy, by the lake, retirement home property. I need to make sure it was done right, because whoever's going to buy this from me is going to build something awesome there. So what happens is I dig in a little bit and I realize, okay, who died, and then what, and who, and how, and it's, we can't find the documents and we can't find the people, kind of thing. We just had a lot of people, usually it's people who are dying along the way, and it just wasn't done correctly. That's often not anybody's trying to pull a fast one. It just, those kind of things. So, and some people get all hung up on it, and some people dig a little too deep on it. Most title escrow companies, title agents, will go back, it's usually 30 to 35 years. That's usually the standard, how far back they go. So you don't need to go back 100 years into homestead time. That's what I do, and at least when I'm starting the process too. I'm going to do this. And if I find something, it's not necessarily a deal killer. So that's where the cloudy title drama comes in. A lot of people are like, oh, well, shoot, I guess this isn't going to work, that's going to work. They didn't do probate. This needs to happen, that needs to happen. It's not an automatic throw your arms up, kick it to the curb situation. So what's really important? Do the best you can. If it's easy for you, you're just kind of looking through, you want to look back, if the same guys owned it since 1955, I'm done.
You're done. You're all set.
I'm done. I don't have to look any more than that.
And you're talking to that person on the phone.
And he happens to still be alive because he got it when he was 18. Great. So, and that happens. But the other situations, you do need to make sure, before you move forward, you're just making sure that my grandpa gave it to me. I think it was done. It's mine. I have a copy of this. I have a copy of that. Whatever it is. Sometimes it's even really clean and they just don't know it. It's joint tenants with rights of survivorship, and the guy says my wife passed. And I'm saying, I'm sorry. Actually, it's not hard to transfer title because you did joint tenants, so this is going to be really easy and clean. And they're like, yay, I didn't even know that, kind of thing. So you need to do a little bit of looking to see what's important, and you'll learn as you go. This is not going to be Title 101 here. I want everybody just to calm down a little bit. So Title 101 is another show, actually another week.
Can I make two points here
really
quickly? All issues with cloudy title are solvable.
That's what I was going to get to.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for the segue.
Sorry.
So then the point is, don't get worried about this yet. Here are your solutions. Okay, it's not easy. I know there's some stuff in there. I really feel like I'm talking to the right people. They've got all kinds of documents, and I know it's the family, and whatever. One, an escrow company. Sometimes we in our world will self-close transactions. This would be a situation where I don't. I need to make sure there's enough money in the deal that I can afford to pay, $1,200, depending on where the deal is, how big it is, to get title insurance and let them uncover it. And what I do is I help them out as best I can too. When I open an escrow, I say, this is as far as I got. I got this, and this. Here's this, and they'll take it from there, and they'll undo it, and they'll make sure that it's right. Even sometimes they have to go back and redo some documents. They'll cover all that. That's what you're paying for. So there's solution number one. Number two, maybe it was it didn't get probated, or it needs a proper probate, which involves an attorney. So that's something and that's a conversation you're going to have with your seller, by the way. Did you have an attorney when this happened? Do you still work with this attorney? Because maybe we can get this attorney, turn him back on, and get it real cheaply and quickly to handle one more document. They did everything but this one thing. They did the house, but not this piece of dirt over here.
Yeah.
We can go back and do that, and the attorney could probably do it real quickly and easily. Or it might involve you getting involved, and this is going to be all personal preference, and really whatever you work out with your seller, because there's going to be money involved there. And then the last thing is two, by the way, there's 2 more points. Some of these things, as you get going and you get good and you become an investor and you're doing deals, you might get to know some people, and you're just can make these calls. I've had situations that I knew weren't that bad, but I didn't know how to do it. I've called the county and said, who's your favorite attorney in the area and does a lot of stuff for you, for these people doing land? Oh, it's Mr. King over on Main Street. Awesome. Hang up, I call Mr. King on Main Street. And I'm calling him for 2 reasons. One, hey, can I get your inside information? Can you help with this? What needs to get done? And often they'll even say, it's this form, it's one form, record it with this and this before you do the deed and you're good to go. I'm like, oh, thank you. And they will sometimes give you free, at least for me, sometimes give you free advice that you can handle it yourself. So, number 3, you could try something yourself as you get going. And then the last solution is, and this still happens to me right now as I'm sitting here today, there are some that I don't want to undo. There are some that eventually are just too much time.
Or money.
Too much money, exactly. Now it's like the deal's not worth it. And especially if you're buying a $1,000 to $2,000 property to sell it for $4,000 or $5,000, are you going to pay $1,000 on attorney fees and wait 6 months? No.
Nope.
I don't want you to. Your time is worth more than that. You can do 3 more deals or 5 more deals or 50 more deals in that time and not worry about that one.
It's the real key to achieving, when there is a cloudy title situation, the key to achieving getting title insurance is to having a compliant seller. We just walked away from a deal where we would have made $500,000, and the seller was so angry, and just I don't know why.
Yeah.
He was a lot older than most of the people we buy property from, and just really frustrated and angry. So, he refused to sign the affidavits. Then it would have been fine if he would just sign the affidavits and done a couple other things. Which all he had to do is meet somebody at a coffee shop or at his house, a notary, and signed all the stuff that we asked him to sign, and we would have sent him a check. So, but he just couldn't. Seller compliance is mandatory.
I think well, there's 2 things. One, he might have been slanged in a while. Might need to get a good slanging. Sorry, I had to get that back in there.
We're going to get our hands slapped on iTunes for our G rating.
So, no, and the other thing was, honestly, what was going on with this guy, I think he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, he was acting as his own attorney and really thought he knew how to do these transactions when people pass and doing this and doing that, and he accidentally made himself a little mess. And so we were undoing the mess, and it just got to be too much.
Yeah.
A
lot of talking.
It was a lot of talking. And that's okay. That's all right. So I hope this calms you all down.
So too.
Yeah. If you have any more questions, hit us up in landinvestors.com, because I like putting questions there because everybody can see it. Even Discord. If you're a member, you can see Discord, but for everybody else, you can see it in Land Investors. Happy to help, because I know this. When you come across a title issue, it's like, these are some of the things that just don't make sense to a lot of people, and happy to help you. Happy to clarify and get you there.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us today. You can find us 5 days a week right here on the Land Academy Show.
Tomorrow, the episode on the Land Academy Show is called Data Tree versus Title Pro versus RealQuest Pro. Those are the 3 places where you get data, 3 best places. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
So, was that the slinging? We need to stop it, you think?
It's interesting.
I'm just going to pick up on that word.
I think it's fine. It's interesting that we have to take these topics. It's challenging for Jill and I to take these topics that can be pretty damn boring. Yeah. And make them funny.
Well, sometimes
it's make it just bearable.
I'll tell you. Well, here's the other thing. I mean, if you're having, it's painful for me when I have title issues. Like I just told you, We had spent 50-something days with this guy, too. Now, thank goodness it wasn't me spending 50-something days. And it was not my team doing it full-time 50-something days. That would have killed me. But it was, we'd talk and have to wait a couple days while Tyler would work on something. Wait a couple days while Tyler would work on something. It was that kind of a thing. And it really does stink for me, too, when we have to say, whatever, and we're out. So, and it's not you. Don't worry about it. Just open the next envelope, send out some more mail, and open the next envelope. It's the best thing I can say.
There's a company in Orange County called Tax Title Services. Actually, this is a prelude to tomorrow. Data Tree Title Pro and RealQuest Pro are all in some way in Irvine, California, which is where this company called Tax Title Services that specializes, and they charge for it, but they specialize in these tougher, and they will issue a title insurance policy. So I'm hearing, we haven't used them ourselves because we haven't had to, but I'm hearing members all over our group say this is the greatest way to get title insurance on, let's say, property that you foreclosed on on a lien foreclosure, like a tax lien or a tax deed property, or these tougher title properties.
Thanks. If you need access to any sort of ownership or property details, including phone numbers and FEMA flood zone overlays, check out neighborscoop.com. Created by investors, that's us. For investors, that's you. We are Steven Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.